Please, the show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host, Blaque Diamond, and you're tuned into another soul shifting episode of Basic Blaque After Dark. Now, this is the show that meets you where you are and it gives you what you need. Tonight, we're kicking off a powerful conversation with a brand new author, none other than Eric O. Blake. So you're seeing him here first. And if any other show had him, we still gonna say we seen him here first. And we're diving deep into what it means to take the first steps towards healing. So if you've been stuck, silent, or simply surviving, this is your sign to rise. Healing starts now. So please welcome Eric O. Blake to Basic Blaque After Dark. Or should I say Detective Blake? Let's get into it. Here we go. Hey, how are you?
You doing? I'm doing great. How's everything going?
Oh, it's good. I'm so glad that you can be here.
Thank you for the
I
invite.
had myself lined up with the way that I wanted this show to go tonight, but after reading your book, it shifted some gears for me. So I'm going to go off a little off script because I just want to get into this right here. It's been on my mind and on my heart, and I said if I don't get it out, I probably won't have time in this show to get it out. And I'm going to go there first because I don't normally do this, but
Go for
I'm
it.
going to go there. And we're talking about his book here, First Steps to Healing. And you'll see it, and it says my thoughts, and I can say my God. He says my thoughts, I say my God. There's a section in here, and the chapter that I'm looking at, it says, if I were gone.
Mm,
And that's the one that got me the
mm.
most. And I'm looking at a section that reads, will the world acknowledge my departure from the future? What will I leave behind as a legacy? What will people say in my absence? What will that special person shed tears like mighty flood, or will businesses continue as usual? What is your legacy?
Um,
What is your legacy?
Appreciate that particular question. That's a deep one off the top. I want to say and I will say that my legacy is completion. I think that's the best way to put it. And it's become completion. But if you asked me this question maybe a month ago, my legacy might have been you don't finish nothing. That reality. But I have three children, three boys, three black men. And I say completion because they are able now to see, and they've always, in some way, seen me accomplish whatever was needed to be accomplished. You know how you say you never want for nothing? These children never wanted for anything. So they were able to see that. But on top of all of that, compassion, activism, uh,
Mhm.
law enforcement, um,
Wow.
financial stability, as of now, willingness to admit mistakes, the ability to be humble, funny. But when you talk about, I guess, legacy, which is long living, long lasting, longevity of a memory, it's always there when needed to be there. That's the easiest way.
What type of legacy would you want to leave for your boys?
Um,
Something that they can say that that was my dad. That's what he left back here. That's what I'm going to continue. That's what is our family, is our heritage now. He's added
Well, I would say
that part.
it's almost the same thing. My boys will definitely say when I call daddy, he's there. So, reliability. You know,
This part here is when you're gone. So you're
and when
not
I
around and you left a legacy.
yes, the legacy is remember to be there if you say you're going to be there. Period.
Okay.
Remember to make yourself available for those who need you. And even for
I love
those who
that.
don't necessarily need you. I mean, reality is, I'm always trying to help somebody else out, and, without wanting that reciprocation. I mean, my boys will see that.
What would you like said, because this is the way I'm taking this, because
Um,
you're saying that if I were gone, what would you like said about you in your absence?
so let's get to the nitty gritty of that particular text. And that part of it is I wrote this and started writing this in 2005. Now we're in 2025. Let's put that in the context. In
About 20
2005,
years
I
ago.
started this. I was on the police force, brand new, boom, boom, boom. So a lot of the thoughts were, if I wasn't here with my kids, with my mom, with my uncle, my auntie, all them people, what would they be able to say about me if I was gone? And is my life relevant in this moment when I was writing that? As we transcend and move on to now, it's the same principle. What the accomplishments I've made, being a law enforcement officer, being a father, being a man, being a son, being a nephew, is it enough? Is what I basically were trying to ask in that question. Is it enough? Whereas when I leave, will they be able to say, okay, I remember that Eric was the guy that when I picked up the phone, Eric answered. I remember Eric was a guy when he wanted somebody to put a shelf up, I can call Eric to put the shelf up. If I needed Eric to come to this meeting for me and represent me in a meeting, was Eric available? Um, Things of that nature. And guess what? Eric's heart. Can I call Eric and just say, "Yo, I gotta cry real quick, my man. I gotta tell you, I'm not feeling this." That that's where it came from. It came from me at that particular point. First of all, being a brand new cop, being a father to a one child at the time, and not feeling adequate as a man at that time. So if I was gone,
Do
how would you feel? Who will remember me? That's where
very
that started.
profound.
You
So
know,
do
and
you see a change in you from then to now? And what type of change do you see?
so I see myself accepting my mistakes better. I see myself accepting the fact that I'm not perfect and being able to, relay that information to not just myself, but to other people. Um, so that acceptance of, okay, perfection doesn't exist, only in God, allow me to go day to day and go, okay, I can make this mistake, but now I'm going to learn from it. Because now if I say, if I'm going, oh no, you're going to remember me. Oh yeah, that's that dude who tell them jokes. That's a dude who wear them bow ties. He dress sharp. That's me now. But I already know if I'm going right tomorrow, if tomorrow I don't wake up, what you're going to remember. He's smart, intelligent, pretty attractive, uh, dresses well, uh, will fight when need to be fight for your rights, for your integrity, has his own integrity, things of that nature. Now I'm better. Yeah.
We all know. Well, I don't want to go too far into religion because I don't want to insult anybody. But as far as I'm concerned, we know that God is the creator, and He has created you to be someone. What do you think He created you to be?
Um, an example of overcoming adversity, the ability to deal with a hardship navigate that hardship, find a way out of that hardship, and be able to be a bright light for someone else.
You had mentioned earlier that you were wondering whether you were enough. And I usually say things like this for the end, but I want you to know that you're saying you want to know if you're enough. I want you to remember that you're becoming. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's the dot, 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 because it's whatever you want to put in that place. So just keep it in mind that you're becoming. You're
Okay.
becoming the father that you wanted to be. You're becoming the uncle that you wanted to be. You're becoming the detective that you're going to be. So just keep in mind you're becoming. And don't
Mm-hmm.
let anybody change that.
Okay.
It's not are you enough? Don't question yourself, are you enough? Just am I becoming? Because I tattooed that all over myself. Yes, I'm
I
becoming the woman that I want to be. So you keep that in mind, okay?
understood. Thank you. I appreciate the words of encouragement.
Yeah.
But
What inspired you to write this collection? Because I got a feeling that this is not going to be the last of this.
it's funny you said that because when I was first doing it, I said, okay, I should make this volume one. But in the beginning, like I said, I started this in '05. I became a police officer into '04 and into '05. And I started this because, full transparency, I was navigating new fatherhood. Not that my son, I gained custody of my son. Um, so that changes your lifestyle. It changes all your day to day normal activity. And I was like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So as I was just going through just the ebbs and flows of not knowing how to be that primary caretaker, I started writing down notes. And that's what happened. It was my notes. And then my notes turned into, okay, let me just keep writing down my pain of the day, just to express what's going on. Okay, let me write down
Mm.
my happiness of the day. And then as life transcended into more things, I just started writing it down. And once I started writing down, I said, you know what? Let me, somebody might want this. And I basically just said, I'm not gonna just write my notes. I'm gonna make my notes mean something. So let me put them in a poetic, story. And that's why that
So there was a defining moment that made you say, "I need to tell this story," or did it become a lifeline or a tool for healing for you later in life?
yeah, I got shot at days while at work. And I guess that kind of correlates to if I were gone and things of that nature. But I got shot at, had to shoot back, things of that nature. And being shot at and feeling a bullet go past you, you go, oh, wait a minute, that's real. And you go, what
Yeah,
have,
it's not cops and robbers anymore.
yeah,
It's the real stuff. It's not
right,
playing with the little guns with the little red cap on the end of it and having a little hat on saying that you're a cop and you're
you're a
chasing. It's
cowboy,
real
right?
out here. This is yeah,
And and that's what happened. So now
yep.
you go, oh snap, I have a child, oh snap. And I said just like that, and I used that verbiage, oh snap. And I
Mm.
remember going into the precinct and going, man, they were shooting. Do I really want to do this anymore? Things of that nature. And they go, is this job worth it when I have someone else who needs me? And then after that, it was like my son was so happy that daddy was a police officer. It was like, you know what? I'm gonna continue to do it because he's excited about it. My mother, oh, please, she don't want to hear it. She hates the job, doesn't want me to be a cop, never wanted me to be a cop until I
Well,
became a
I
detective.
you know what? I give her credit for that because I get it. I was the same way with my sons. Don't you can do anything else you want to do,
Right.
but we're not talking about. I get it, and I'm even that way when it's to football. I didn't want them to play football because I was afraid they would get hurt.
There
But
you
now
go.
I'm older, a little wiser.
Right,
I'm
right,
trying
right.
to understand the game. I still don't understand football. I just know people get knocked down and around.
There you
So
go.
I do have that passion for. I do understand where she's coming from, but I'm curious. Was it a steady flow, or did certain memories take time to face and translate into words? So as you was going through writing your journey in your journal, Was it a steady flow, or did certain memories take time to face and then translate it like, wait a minute, I remember this. Like what you had just mentioned about being shot at. That was a memory. Did it take time to face that and translate it into words, or was it something you said, no, I got to write this down?
Well, the write down and putting it on paper and chronologically keeping it as a permanent memory in regards to getting shot was different. It was more of the thought of that's when if I were gone was established. That was its inception. But most of the things I wrote was the journey because I had to learn from the journey in order to even write about the journey. That was my thing. And I had to reflect on it. And part
Mm. So, growing up in an urban community, which I did too, how did your surroundings shape the way you see the world and the way that you write? I think you mute. Yeah, I think you mute. You probably muted by accident. Yeah, you're still muted. Can you hear me? Just nod if you can. Yeah, I can't. Cannot hear you. You may have to go out and come back in. That might fix it. Nope. Yeah. Check your phone settings. Are you on your phone? Okay, so yeah, if you're on your phone, somebody tried to call you, so you do have to go out and come back in because that's what stopped it. Yeah. Try putting your phone on airplane mode so that won't happen. Give him a thumbs up like my grandson do. But we're here talking to Eric O'Blake. He is also Detective Eric O'Blake, and he took the time out to write this book, which I'm not even through the book to tell you the truth, where I had to make a stop, trying to make sure that I'm holding it right. And this is his book here. So I'll cover my face because my face is not important right now. And this is his book, and he's really talking from the heart. And you don't find many men who talk about first steps to healing. You don't have men in blue who will come forward and admit that there's some healing that needs to be done. So I commend him on many things, on many levels. Being an officer, which is one, coming forward and speaking his speak about healing, and just being transparent. So that's something that I applaud him for. Now I think he's back. We're just gonna bring him back up. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Here we go. There you go. I just want to say hi to a shout out to Patrice, Travita, and Shanette. Those are part of my podcast sisters, and I just want to say thank you for participating tonight. But yeah, I like I said, I was just so curious with that. How did your experience as a New York City detective influence the emotional depths, themes, or truths that show up in your work?
um, that's a multi-layered question, even in its simplicity, because one New York City detective, it took a long time to get there. Took me
Mm,
approximately, I want to say, 13 years to get to that level. Um, and then after that, I was able to get promoted again. But that journey in itself, I say, because not only was I a detective, not only am I a detective, but I was a police officer first. But not only was I a police officer, I was a black man first, and I am a black man first. So
mm,
this job does not always cater to that. So the journey for me compared to others, I would say is different because I have to now work harder. And that's just reality.
yeah.
It's not a sugarcoating piece to it. This is reality. So now, in to be able to make it to where I am was
It's
the
commendable.
I appreciate that, and it's the resilience that I learned from watching my mom do what she did, watching her be an activist, watching her be a political figure, watching her do the public relations. So while being an officer, I threw myself into that world as well, and I became joined the politics of the department. I became one of the members of one of the unions. I became a member of one of the fraternal organizations. I worked my way up the ranks in the fraternal organization, up all the way up to first vice president. Which
Yeah, I
all
saw your interview. I saw your interview with someone, but in this book, you do talk about your mom, and that's a wonderful piece. You talk about your grandmother as well, and I said, look at this. He's talking about his mom. He's talking about his grandmother. And I was just so pleased. And I'm sitting here smiling. And I said, I'm so proud of him. And I said, I don't even know him, but I'm proud of him that
but
he's talking about them.
those are
And it just made
pillars.
me feel so good. And it is exactly that. And you don't see too many people who recognize them as being so. You know, many people struggle to express their pain, and you put it in writing. What made writing feel like a safe place for you? Were there parts of the book that were difficult for you to write?
Yeah, the hardest part was writing about being a father to a son who wanted his mother. The hardest part,
Oh,
hardest thing
wow.
ever. If hardest thing I could ever done. The hardest thing I ever could have done, which in turn made me reflect on how I am with my children now, and this is the point where I feel inadequate as the father portion, because everybody says you can always do more, you can always pick another day to do a little extra, but watching him, my oldest child, go through what he went through, that was the hardest part, and that I had to put that on paper. Um, yeah, that was tough. That was very tough. And words can't express because other people might not feel what you're feeling. Other people might not be able to relate to what you're feeling in that moment. But I come to realize that guess what? I'm not the only person who has a child who other parent wasn't active. I'm not the only person who has a relationship where the other person is not being what you want them to be. I'm not the only person who has a parent who is going through some type of illness. There's so many things that transcend across all people that putting it on paper made it real to me. I think that's the easiest way to
You're
put it.
one of those. You're one of those gentlemen that we talk about as a social worker. That we're very happy and pleased to see that the father seeks custody of their child for whatever the reason is, and I don't want to spill dirt on anybody, but we're very happy to see because some fathers will walk away and say, "No, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this. Give them to whoever, or let them go here or there. I can come by every once in a while." So we commend fathers that step up and do that. You talk about healing. What does healing look like in your day to day life?
Being able to smile throughout the entire day, regardless of what's happening. Real talk. I can't even word it any other way. Going through the financial
Now,
struggle. Say what?
are you smiling because you made it through that shift and you didn't get shot, or you just smiling? I got the feeling
Smiling
that's
be-
the way it probably went. So I'm smiling for you.
No,
I'm smiling for any police officer, detective. I don't care if they're walking a beat, if they're if they're just off duty. No matter what way it goes, I'm smiling every day for them that they made it home and they made it safely.
I do. I mean, my
So
smile is because I woke up in the morning. My smile is because I made it through the day. My smile is because my kids are doing all right. My mama doing all right. I'm smiling because I'm here to witness life. And the reality is,
wow.
that's what gets me going to the next day. The reality is, I'm here because God said this is not your time to go to meet see me just yet. So, but I
So what
learned to
would you
smile.
Well, that's something that should be contagious, a smile. What would you say to other men, especially black men, who were raised to man up and bury their pain?
Um,
Because you hear this sometimes.
so let's not. I'm not gonna act like I don't bury pain. Um, but I bury it momentarily because life goes on. So that's literally what I would say. Bury that pain for the moment if you're in a situation where you can't isolate yourself to handle it by yourself. In order to even get through pain, I really believe that you gotta deal with it on your own a little bit initially. So you get slapped in
Right.
the, it's like, oh, I got slapped in the face. If people are watching you,
Life experience. Yeah.
yeah, if people are watching you get slapped in the face, you might try to now react to that, surrounding. No, put yourself by yourself, handle that by yourself, but then move on. Period. That's what I would tell men because, but accept the fact that there was pain, whether it's relationship pain. I've been hurt so many times in relationship. I've hurt people in relationships, but put yourself into the pain, accept what the pain is, and go, okay, the pain happened. I'm moving on to the next thing now. Period. Period. And it might sound tough. It might sound like, forget about it. No. Accept the pain in the moment. It's part of psychology. Accept the pain. Part of these things, these steps is
Well,
accept.
everybody's experiences are different. The pain that some endure is different because some pain could be a lifetime of pain. Some pain could be, oh, I just hit my hand with a hammer type of pain. Pain could be caused by someone else's hands. How do you think your story reflects or challenges the mainstream narrative about Black men in America?
I think it challenges men to not become and not continue to be the stereotypical conversation. I think it challenges
Wow.
and women and everybody not to conform to what they hear we should be like. I think the book
Yeah, like the
shows,
angry Black woman.
yeah, but I think it also
Because
like the
I
cheating
get
black,
so sick and tired of hearing that. That's an angry Black woman.
yeah, and like the cheating man. Like there has to be a point where you go, let me do something different. So part of the book is to create that conversation that okay, while you do something that might not go the right way, it might not be what status quo is, learn from that, grow from that, change your perspective on life, be a beacon that someone else who's looking at you could say, wow,
Mm.
they brighten my day. Period. And I think that's what the book really is because it really made me a beacon for myself.
I'm going to throw something in there
Go ahead.
in a New York minute. I'm going to say that because I miss hearing that on television. What does vulnerability mean to you as a detective and as a writer? And I only said that because I'm from New York. So I missed hearing that on the news
I got
that
you.
it's going to happen in the New York minute. So, what does vulnerability mean to you as a detective and as a writer?
Well, let me start as a detective. Vulnerability means the ability to put myself in that other person's shoes if I can. If I can't, vulnerability means being empathetic in that moment
Mm,
as a
wow.
detective. But as a man, and I always have to revert back to because while I'm a man in New York, while I'm a man every day, I am a black man. So vulnerability as a black man means I have to be able to not only be able to accept the fact that I'm not going to get it the way that everybody else gets it. I'm not going to be able to do the certain things that other people do. But I gotta also say that I can't be like we've been taught to be too strong, too stringent, too strict, too macho, machismo oriented. Um, and I say all that because I have three young black men under me. So it means to me, the vulnerability means to let them know that daddy is not perfect. For society, it means that Eric is not perfect. In relationship, it means that Eric is not perfect. To my mama. So when you think about it, it all circles around me not being perfect and being able as forget the job as a man, as a black man. I'm not perfect, but I'm not perfect and I'm gonna work my behind off to be as perfect as I can be. Plain and simple, literally.
That's all anybody can ask for, and they really shouldn't be asking for anything from anybody
Hmm.
except what you get, and what you get is what you got. We spoke about vulnerability. We spoke about vulnerability, but vicarious trauma is an unspoken reality for many working with vulnerable populations.
Mhm.
What role do you hope your openness in this book plays in helping those silently struggling?
So even, and I'm glad you asked that particular question, because when people ask me about the book itself, they ask, "Well, what was the point of it? What was the reason? Why?" And I say, because I'm not the only one that suffers. I'm not the only one that has an issue. I'm not the only one that goes through something. If you can read the words and take in the
Mm,
words, you can see that you're not alone. And you're so much not alone that I was able to write about it and tell everybody that I can reach that you're not alone. So that's the vulnerability portion of it. And I think the writing allows me to tell other people that it's okay to not be happy today. It's okay to cry tomorrow. It's okay to even say, "Hey, I'm the best I am and I got it." It's okay to say, "I don't want to deal with this person." It's okay. And I think my writing allows me to reach people who didn't think that it was okay.
They just have to understand it. It's okay to be just that, okay. Your book explores many relationships, romantic, family, and the one with yourself. Which relationship taught you the most about healing?
Surprisingly, I would say relationships. And I say that because I've been in relationships off and on, up and down, left and right. And I even said in one of them that I'm actually, that I'm in love. And you go, "Well, how you in love? What that mean?" Because relationship taught me that through all the ups and downs, through all the crap, through all the stupidity, through all the pain, financial, this and that, that there is another person other than your mother and your parent who has you and your heart on a pedestal. And it took relationships failures to understand to
Mm.
cherish women. Not
I'm so glad you acknowledged that one F word, which is the right F word I'm talking about,
yeah,
not the Navy F word, failure. And
but it's
you don't
true.
see or hear people mention it so much as far as to say that when they're talking about themselves, including themselves with that word failure. So I
Yeah.
commend you on saying, using the word failure.
I mean, and
So
that's me,
oftentimes,
because
yeah,
look,
it is
failed.
reality. Yeah.
I failed, and it took losing someone that was important to go, "Oh shoot, I really failed." Then it took being able to say, "Okay, can I be happy with that person being happy?" These are all things you learn along the way. So I've gotten more lessons throughout relationships than I've gotten from being a son, being a father. Being a father makes you figure things out to protect your offspring. Being a son makes you
Mm.
try to live up to the potential that, or even the aura that your parent has. You always want to be you want to be a person who they can say, "That's my son," but you also want to be a person where they say, "Oh, that's your son." But relationships makes you question yourself. It makes you question, others, but it makes you learn, and it also makes you make decisions on what your next step will be.
So,
It,
have any relationships in your life been restored or released because of your healing?
I think every single one of them, every single one
Oh,
of them, even
wow.
even though it's
Wow.
some are active, some are not. Like
So, you
every,
did some work. You did some work. In other words, for you to say every single one of them, you acknowledged
yeah,
whatever was going on, whether it was on your behalf or whether it was on theirs. You did some work.
yeah, and part of it was, and I would say even more recently, it was the passing of my uncle. Made me go.
I'm so
I
sorry to
watched.
hear that.
Thank you. It's been a couple now, but I watched that man. He was the father figure in my life, not being a father, but he was the father that I knew. But watching
I
him,
saw that in your book.
yeah, the thing is,
I
watching
saw you mentioned it. Yeah.
it helped me figure out how to navigate apologizing. And whether you say,
Mm.
"Hey, I accept it," or don't, I'm able to say it to you. I'm able to get it off my chest. I'm able to make my thoughts and my feelings in that moment, I'm able to give it to you now. So whatever I
So I
did,
want you to hear. I want you as well as the other men out there to hear what you just said. Apologizing.
yeah,
That a man can apologize, but I don't want the women that's sitting out there to go, yeah, because women, you don't like to do it either. You don't like to apologize because a lot of times we think that we're right about every little thing there is, and we don't want to get up off of it. So apologies go both ways. You
yes,
can apologize just as well as they men can apologize too. So just remember this little blurb in my little episode here that apologies can come from either end. And that's what it sounds corny. It makes the world go round, but
it's
it
true,
does.
and it's very true because even in the apologies, guess what? Whether you continue a relationship with me on any level, the air is clean, so to speak. You no longer have questions about why, what were my motives, what were my intentions. I'm telling you, I was stupid then. I might be stupid now. Whatever, however you want to word it. But I apologize because guess what? It caused you a certain way, a certain feeling. It caused you a certain pain.
And I
But guess what
love
happens?
that.
It comes back to me. I mean, I believe in God, but I also believe that energy is important. So if I'm giving you some negative
I
energy,
love to hear that you said. I love to hear that you said that because you hear some people say when they feel as though others are pressuring them to apologize, they'll say something like, "I'm sorry you feel that way." That's not an apology.
no, no.
That's no way near an apology. That's just you just running your mouth, just saying that I'm sorry you feel that way. What is the meaning behind that? You know, what do you hope that your children understand about you, about the man behind the words through this book?
Um, that daddy was in pain at one point, but daddy
Oh wow.
overcame this pain, put his pain on paper. He took his pain and tried to help other people. And in helping other people,
Wow.
hopefully he helped them. Because guess what? My pain is their pain. So I want them to understand
Has
that dad
your
was able to do that.
has fatherhood changed the way that you see your childhood and your community or the legacy you're building?
No, I'm gonna say no because I've always been a proponent on let's build the community together. And while we're separate,
Mm,
I'm not gonna hold it against you for not wanting to be together. So I'm still gonna do the community events with my kids. I'm still gonna make sure that community see me as a father taking his kids places. That black fathers still do exist. Their fathers still exist because it doesn't have to be a color thing, but fathers still exist. But in the community itself where I grew up, they need to understand that whether you agree with my principles or not, our children are our tomorrow. Period. And
wow.
if we can't work it out
Mm.
together, then all right, I'm still gonna do what I
I
gotta do.
love that.
Like,
I
this
love that our children are our tomorrow. Do you see yourself continuing to write or share your story in other ways?
yeah, this book was the beginning of me opening because even when I read it myself, because you write a book, you go over a book, you have people look at it, but I sat and read it myself, and I said, wait, there's more. Because as much as I talk, and I think I want to say as deep as I might have gotten, their layer is almost like the onion. I think I just peeled off maybe one layer.
Mm,
And yeah, I want to continue because
but
I
that's a
also,
start.
yeah, but I want to help people understand that it's okay to have pain. And there's so many, some people can write about it. You could do a song about it. You could draw. There's so many different avenues to express and help get through your pain. So this is book number one.
Unfortunately, if a person doesn't go through pain, they don't grow. You
True.
have to go through it. I'm not saying it has to be so painful where it's devastating. You have to go through some sort of pain in order to grow or to understand. So,
Mhm.
what are some non negotiables in your personal growth or self care routine? Something that's non-negotiable.
Mm, not believing in God.
Oh,
That's number one on my list. If you are not a God fearing person, kick rocks.
I'm gonna
Forgive me,
do one of
Lord.
them church things by going like
Amen.
this. Yeah.
Hit him with a hospital glory. But yeah, no, this is this reality. But also, like you even asked a question to me. If you can't be vulnerable with me, then you're not even vulnerable with yourself. Personal opinion.
When Patrice is saying facts, she's sitting over here in the side saying facts, and
Yeah, but these are
yeah,
things, and I'm in my mid 40s. I'm almost hitting the 50s. So you go, I done been through some things. I ain't been through everything, but I've been through some things, and I go, I ain't accepting but so much. And I'm at the point now where, as a father raising children, they got to be able to see that daddy stands on principle. And my principle, number one, God. My principle, number two, I'm going to protect. But I'm not going to establish relationships with people, business or personal, if there's no vulnerability between us. Because sometimes, say I woke up late, like even in general, if there's a meeting that's supposed to happen and we can't be vulnerable enough to say, I'm human and I've screwed up a little bit, then that tells me you're trying to cover up who you are. Personal opinion. This is me how I look at the world. Vulnerability goes full circle, and
it
that's
certainly
non-negotiable.
does.
Non-negotiable.
So what message do you want your readers to walk away with after reading First Steps to Healing My Thoughts?
That it's okay to, like I said prior, isolate your feelings, isolate your pain, accept your pain. Uh, put your pain somewhere where you can dissect it over time or dissect it in the moment. But there's
Mm,
healing, and there's a different side. You'll be able to cross that plateau, and you'll be into this healing space. Um, that you're not alone. 'Cause I think that's a huge thing. You're not the only one going through these things. I even wrote about
and,
child support in the book. Like, you're not alone.
oh,
You're not
you
alone.
said child support?
Yeah,
Well, we did an episode a couple of years ago on child support, and
listen,
it was
but
just phenomenal with the way that the men were sending in things about child support and things that I had to make sure it was just for men
oh, okay,
because the things that I was telling them, many would say, "Why would you tell them that?" Because I'm a fair person, just like I would tell you as a woman certain things. I'm going to tell them as a man too, and it's not about getting over; it's what their rights are, which many
hmm
of them do not know that there are rights that they have regarding child support. But that's another story. I ain't gonna go too deep with that because we'll be sitting here all night and people
all
be
night.
coming in and talking about, tell me about it. Tell me about what am I missing? How do I do this?
I need that
There's
too.
things that can be done that'll help you out, but I'm
But
not gonna go there. I know some women is hating, but you women should know that
you're not
sometimes these men is giving you money on the side to take care of the kid, and you're still asking for money through child support. So come on.
man.
But then there's things that a man can do too with, and I'll just say a quick modification. Anyway,
Right, right.
who do you hope this who do you hope this book reaches, and what do you want them to know?
I want the book to reach everybody. I want them to know that, like I said, I always say the only way to heal is to deal with the pain in the moment, accept that there is pain. I want them to know that they're not alone. I mean that's what this book really is. Like your first step to healing is accepting the fact that there's a problem, there's an issue that needs to be healed. But while you're dealing with that, you are not alone. You are not the only person. Like I can take each of these little short stories and poems, and they can be their own entity of just workshops. We can discuss this and bring in psychologists and these people and all that for each individual story or poetry poem that's in this book. because someone has and dealt with each individual thing that is in this
Either you're frozen or you're broken up some. I think there's a
and
connection
I
problem there.
want
Yeah, you're going in and out.
everyone to know that guess
Well, what he was doing, what Eric was doing was explaining to everyone what he hopes that his book, who he hopes that his book reaches, and what he wants them to know. And from what I gathered, he wants them just to about know everything there is to know. And what they do need to do is to get to know themselves first. And I think that that's one of the things that people need to reach inside to get to know themselves. Because if you don't know who you are, you can't help somebody identify who they are. So that's just falseness of you sitting there being able to help them, but how are you giving them when you haven't given yourself? So that's some of the things that that I speak to people when it comes to, and it's not. And I don't want to say any shade, but I deal with mental health, and a lot of this is striking me as mental health. Not to say that he has a mental health problem. Look, we all have some sort of mental health problem. So I don't want anybody to be mistaken that, oh, I'm fine. Okay, well, that's your mental health problem, thinking that you're just fine. So what do you hope readers, especially young men from communities like yours and mine, walk away with after finishing your book? Because I'm not a young man, but I'm walking away with a couple of things, and I'm only at this point in the chapter, and I just got so much to write. This book is going to be a mess when I finish with it because I'm writing on every page.
well for men, for young boys, just for anybody, understand that it's, I say, important to identify what's going on in the moment, but once you identify it, learn from it. That that's the biggest picture, if you think about it. Learn from it, because to make the same mistake is almost like you used to say back in the day. You know, you run to the wall and you keep running to the wall. The wall's not going nowhere. If it hurt the first time, it's going to hurt the second time. Like things of that nature.
It's
So
true.
this book for young men is like, yo, guess what? The OG, he's saying, because, like I said, even when I mentioned the child support, we're gonna move on, modification. But you look at that and you go, okay, yeah, I got these baby mamas. Okay, forget that. Let's go to work. Yeah, I got this boss I can't stand. Yo, let's forget that. Let's go home. Yeah, I got this wife at home, these kids. We all got something. My mama always is overbearing. My daddy's overbearing. We all have something. So for me, I want to tell the young men, guess what? We good. We got to continue to be strong in whatever we go through, because especially if we have children. So from the book,
Well,
I want them to get that.
go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
That's what I want them to get. I want to get that while being in your own hodgepodge of things, that especially if you have children, because I wrote about that. If you have children, be that role model. And I believe in role models as a parent, not outside of your parental status. But as a parent, I believe in the ideology of role models. Be that role model for your children. That's what this book also says. It challenges not just men, but it challenges women too, to be that role model for their parent, for their children. In the hood,
So for those children who are in, I'll say, I don't want to say fatherless. Women run homes where father could be there, but the majority of the people in the house are women, or either that dad is not home as much because of work. So I don't want to take anything from the man by saying he's not there, or he's an absent father, or he's a deadbeat father. It's just that for some reason he's not in the home during certain times of that. What would you say about doing a group, a mentoring group for young black men or young men, period? I don't want to just stereotype it and say young black men, because you have children from other cultures that are raised in a home where it's grandma, where it's auntie, and dad is, maybe he's a truck driver and he's away for a while. Maybe there's something else going on where dad has to be out of the house for a period of time. What would you say into forming a group to mentor them? Because I remember when my son was growing up, there was a group that he belonged to with the police department, and for the life of me, I can't remember it, but they had it at the Queens location, and he loved it. He loved the
PAL,
program. No, it wasn't a
police
PAL. It
active.
was another program that they had for them because they even put them in uniform.
Oh, the Explorers.
Right there, you go.
Yes,
Look
yes,
at
and
look
they
at that.
still
Look, I'm
exist.
dating
So PA,
myself.
but
Oh, they do. I
well,
wish they
Explorers
existed
still
here in this
exist.
state.
They do have a version of it in most states because they try to, you know, try to get some of the kids off the street. But for me personally, I like the idea of mentoring, but I'm learning over the years that mentoring has to be something that grabs these kids. So, like, if I was doing Roblox or something, and I was able to come up with a program where while I'm doing Roblox, I'm teaching them something, it'll bring them. But it could be me just being, what they call that, pessimistic about it. We got to look at the parents before
I think with that we got to look at
we look
the system,
at the kids.
because certain systems
Sometimes
can break
when
down a family, can
it's
break a
time,
family. And I think the systems need to look at working with the families and not against the families, worry more about the power that they have and worry more about the people. Because I think it
right?
becomes a problem when that happens. And sometimes they show children that you've taken the power from the parent. You know,
Hmm.
you'll hear a child say something, and the authorities will side with the child, or feel as though the child, their sympathy will go out. And when they're speaking to the parent, to the child, the parent is being chastised,
Correct.
not that the parent is being spoken to. So that child can come back into your home and feel as though they can say and do whatever they want. And if you say something to me, I'm making a phone call, or I'm going out here and I'm saying this, that, or the other to whoever. I can go to school and say something to the teacher.
Hmm.
I can go wherever and say something. So I think the system needs to look at it from the beginning.
Right.
And I think if they look at it from the beginning and see, for one, look at why you started it, why you started these programs. What was the foundation? Let's go back and look at that and see what's missing, see what's changed. Because some of the things that's changed, you could bring them back because you have more tools to work with now.
Hmm.
There's so much more that you can use to work with what you thought was broken, that you decided to change without a reason to change. And I'm going to say it. What was it, that you were chasing money and
Hmm.
forgot all about the child or the family?
Well,
I've seen that. I've been around it, and it sickens me to know that that happens.
yeah,
Within families. So
you got to also.
building up a mentorship would be great.
Yeah, I believe in that, and I believe in mentorship. I believe in passing on my knowledge. I believe in collaborating with other men who have their knowledge and passing that on. I also believe that the system is rigged to try to make it fail. So we also have. That's why I said, like, and I agree with you how you talked about the moms and the parents being chastised while a child is being basically coddled. That's how I interpret it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But in that moment, the child now has this new power. And I was bringing that up because I remember how we, back in the day, when I thought that I had that idea that I can call the cops. And I did that. I called the cops on my mom. And this woman said, no problem, see you later, take him with you. But
Yeah.
and the cop was like, all right, that's what we're going to do. Man, with your permission, because you're still law enforcement, so you still got to follow certain rules and regulations. Man, with your permission, we're going to take him here. And that was the community working together with the law enforcement. Those days are over. This is why I said we have to figure out a way to collaborate with the community in addition to law enforcement coming together in order for the kids to even receive what's happening.
I think before they even collaborate with the community, I think they need to learn how to build trust back up in the community. Because if you don't build that trust back up into the communities and into programs and things that once were, you're going to continue to lose these families because a lot of them don't trust certain systems because systems failed them. And they're looking at that. They're looking at being broken down because they feel as though a system has broken them. So it's going to take a lot.
Mhm.
But in order for it to work, a lot's going to have to be given. Time is going to have to be given. You know, when you get these groups together, people just want to be heard. They want to be heard. It's not to say you can fix it overnight, but they want to be heard to figure out where are we now. You know, one of the things I want to ask you, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but as a detective in New York, do they still have the Penn's warrant?
So I can answer this question because it's not a policy question. Um,
Okay, good, because I was hoping it wasn't.
so Penn's has transitioned into something else. So that actual Penn's warrant, person in need of supervision, doesn't necessarily exist anymore where the judge says if you don't go home after school directly, we're going to bring you here and we're going to put you in this facility and we're going to violate you. That doesn't necessarily exist anymore because of the age now that they've changed what is a minor. Once you start changing all the age brackets, you now have to also adjust the rules and regulations that coincide with that age bracket. So now it's number 16, a child now is 18. So that pins, which would have
Doesn't
applied,
apply.
won't apply. It's things of that nature. So on some level, there's ways to do it where you can apply for. It's almost like when a parent is sick or something like that. You can apply for guardianship of that nature, or what they call that. Oh my goodness, I'm at a loss of words, which is rare. But uh,
Guardian ad litem.
that there you go. See, that's why we cool. Guardian ad litem, but it gives the person now the legal um ability and the legal standing to dictate where a person moves and where a child might go. So if that child doesn't come home, you can legally say, you know what, you're being homeschooled from now on. Things of that nature. So
There's
yes.
something else. I'm not sure, and they should have it there. It's called voluntary placement agreement that a parent can request, where if the child is having some behavioral issues and it's really affecting the household and the child, especially if it's a mental health, they can ask, petition the court for a voluntary placement agreement.
That
Now,
exists.
if the parent is going into the hospital for any period of time, they can ask for a voluntary placement agreement. If the parent is going to be incarcerated for a certain period of time, I'm not saying for years, they can ask for a voluntary placement agreement, and it's nothing that's going to be held against them. Now, it's only held against them if they don't go back and get their child. So that
All right.
time that the child is there, you're not on vacation as a parent. You are working on yourself and what you need in order for that child to come back home and for it to be safe for everybody, because where that child is going to be a place that's working with that child, so that child will understand once they're back in the family home that these are the things that's going to be put in place. So there's a wraparound service that's going to benefit both parent and child. But you have to have the system to be able to work together instead of thinking that I have more power than you as far as, and I'm going to say at the Board of Education, I have more power than you as a mental health physician. I have more power than you as an officer. I have more power than you as the doctor. You can't keep doing that because y'all are a system that works together. You collaborate.
Mm.
And when the kids start seeing all of that, that you're broken, 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 they grow up feeling that way. And then they become the parent. And then they already feel as though the system is broken and they have no one to turn to. And this is what's starting to happen, that people are not trusting these systems because they don't feel as though they have anyone to turn to.
Hmm.
But I want to know, how could listeners and viewers connect with you, and where could they purchase your book?
Well, you can connect with me on Instagram at AYS_podcast. Uh, Facebook is AYS_podcast. The book is on Amazon in both paperback and in digital copy. It's just My Thoughts by Eric O. Blake, First Steps to Healing. Those are my initial things. I'm actually transitioning over to Shopify. Um,
Mm,
I'm, I'm on my way up.
yeah, I can see just by reading this book. What's next for you?
The podcast, AYS podcast. AYS stands for Are You Serious? So it's a podcast that's going to
Are you
question.
serious? Wow.
Yeah, it's basically questioning everyday decisions that are being made and our how it affects us, our steps to make things better, and decisions not to that the decisions being made that don't make it better. Uh, like
So this is your podcast?
that's what's yes.
Oh wow.
I,
You
I
got to send me the information, because I got some people that would benefit from being on your podcast, and you would benefit from them being on your podcast. So definitely
appreciate
got to send me that. So you said
it.
AYS. So
Yes, AYS_podcast. But
yeah,
yes,
I'm definitely gonna get that information. So
yep,
if you're in New York City, in the Jamaica Queens area, stop by the Harvest Room on August 23rd between 10 and 2. Eric is going to be there with his book. So this way you can purchase the book there, and if you're lucky, you might be able to get a picture taken with him and get it autographed. So we're expecting you to show up and to show out, to be there. Eric, thank you for your transparency, your
thank you,
strength, and your voice. My
appreciate
Thoughts, First Steps to Healing is a testimony and a tool. You can use this as a tool. And tonight, you reminded us that healing doesn't have to be perfect. It just have to be honest. And to our Basic Blaque After Dark family, don't forget to mark your calendars for tomorrow, August the 15th, here at 8 o'clock, for our final panel of the season. And I'm feeling so bad that it's our final panel for Cracks in the Surface, Strengths in the Core Not Easily Broken. But we are coming back for season next year, and we're going to be looking for people to participate in the panel. If you want to email me, text me, however, you can definitely find me on Facebook to learn more about the panel. I will be posting it so you'll get to know more. And you already know it's going to be powerful tomorrow. Some of us may have some tissue. I already got my box. See, sitting right here close by. Got my box because I'm quite sure it's going to be a tearjerker. But until next time, keep it raw, keep it real, and always, thanks for keeping it basic. So I appreciate you. No, thank you so much for being a part of this. And I'm going to be there in New York, so we'll definitely get to meet.